Na-na-na.
Hey guys, welcome to the Cycle 2 Misfit Athletics podcast. Thank you for joining us. Gonna get
You
after
bad bitches.
after some of the Cycle 2 stuff, what we're gonna be seeing in the upcoming programming, and hopefully some tips and cues on how to make the most of it.
All right, Drew, what do we got coming up?
Ladies and gentlemen, CrossFit Clue, October 7th to October 9th. That's coming up really fast.
It's going to be badass.
And for the first time in the history of a Misfit Athletics training camp, we might have to cap it. We like to make sure that we have enough coaches for each athlete, or the other way around, I guess. But
Yeah, both ways.
both. So if you want to sign up, if you want a T-shirt, if you want a swag pack, you need to get signed up as soon as possible. Misfitgear.com. Ted says click the hamburger. I don't know what that means. It's the three-line thing.
Lines, yeah.
Oh,
Click the hamburger.
Click events. It's right there.
what a nerd he is.
If you are a teenager and you live in Iceland, so I believe that's like maybe 50,000 people in the world.
Yeah, it's not a ton.
In the
but
world or in Iceland?
just in the world. There's only 50,000 teenagers in the whole world.
Just
no,
total,
I said
total
if
people,
you're
too.
from
in
Iceland,
Iceland. and a
right?
teenager.
Okay.
Yeah.
Qualifier.
Then we are going to be at CrossFit XE in Gardabar, Iceland.
And global.
That was
It is
actually pretty
Iceland
good.
Teen camp, mid-October. We know that we have thousands and thousands of viewers for this podcast that fit that demographic. So send us an email if you would like to join. A camp that
Right.
a lot more people can join is in our possibly favorite city, Houston, Texas. CrossFit Edo, probably the second coolest. It could be the coolest.
Second
We're
coolest
going to find out.
It's a pretty cool gym. Sweet
December
spot.
9th to December 11th. That's starting. Ticket sales are really starting to pick up for that as well. They're coming in at the same time as Clue, so no need to be scared about it selling out yet. But we are only in October, and it's selling fast. So
Yep.
if you want to join us in Houston, Texas, December 9th to the 11th. Seth and I will be with Travis Williams in the Philippines,
Manila.
Manila.
Thrill in Manila.
November 6th.
We'll be there all weekend for
Right.
multiple competitions
There's
going down.
two big competitions going down.
Yep.
We'll be over there. Travis was invited to teach a seminar and wisely chose to bring some backup with him.
Yes.
He will pop his shirt off and have his sweet hair.
Yes.
Seth and I will provide you with information.
Right.
And,
He'll have sweet hair.
he knows
He'll smile at you, and
He'll
he'll talk to
exactly.
you, and he'll shake your hand, and he'll be impressive. But we'll do most of the information.
Correct.
Stuff.
It's a good mix.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that we wanted to bring up is a lot of people want to know how they can become a sponsored athlete. They want to know how they can be on a team at a local competition, want to get noticed, want us to see them. We go to Wadapalooza.
Yep.
We're putting teams together for Wadapalooza. We sponsor teams through Sharpen the Axe. We sponsor teams through Misfit Athletics. If you want to be considered for any of that or just pop up on our radar, if we match the name from the website comments to the person that's crushing it on the leaderboard, you have a better chance at making your way up the Misfit totem pole. So that works for any competition, really. I mean, we
Right.
keep our eyes on a bunch of different things, but we're pretty sure we'll be at Wadapalooza, and we're pretty sure there'll be quite a big Misfit showing at Wadapalooza.
It'll be our triumphant return to Wadapalooza.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah. Most people don't know that we were in a huge car accident there last year.
not fun.
It's been quite a journey since the last one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's all the announcements people give a shit about right now. So,
I think so.
I'd say so.
who wants to lead us into kind of the overview of Cycle 2?
What
what's
is Cycle
what
2,
is it?
Matt Sherburne?
What's the point?
Well,
What even is Cycle 2?
Well, Jimmy, basically.
first thing I noticed is that we're going to go ahead and start moving into more of the CrossFit style lifts. We're getting away from the slow speed strength stuff, the 1RMs, the deadlift, the strict press, the back squat. The Olympic lifts are going back to the floor. So we're really getting back into the kind of the bread and butter of what CrossFit is. So you'll have a blend of both Olympic lifts from the floor. You'll see things like push presses, split jerks. All of a sudden you'll be doing squats, RMs that are no longer 1RMs, but now we're doing 3s, and we're doing speed work, and we're hitting some some heavier volume, just because as cool as 1RM back squats are, they don't really get tested really ever in CrossFit. So
Literally ever.
So some more of that stuff, and then we'll bring back some more interval work. Bitch work becomes kind of bitchnastics, so we'll have a combination of bitch work and some gymnastic stuff. So, the fun stuff comes back out. No longer are things broken into kind of their own avenue where it's bitch work by itself and gymnastics by itself and metcons and lifting, but now we're starting to blend them together. So I think it's more of a CrossFit type of feel as opposed to Cycle 1, which is like, let's get strong, let's work on some monostructural stuff, and let's play around with some gymnastics.
So it's more of like a shepherd's pie than a plain burger, really.
Sure.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Go
With
that
corn
way.
on the side and your potatoes off to the side.
I think of it more like Cycle 1 is like multiple courses. Like, here's the simple beef. Here's the side of potatoes. Here's your dessert. Now we're like, just
what
take
is the
pie
bitch work?
and
A shit
smash it on the
sandwich?
steak.
give me one shit sandwich.
here's your
Shit
course
sandwich.
from.
I sprinkle M&Ms on top of the
Shit, Sammy.
nuggets.
All right.
So chocolatey shit sandwich.
Chocolatey shit sandwich. Beautiful.
Goddamn.
Whatever.
Great.
All right. All right. Well, I guess I'll just jump into more specifics. By the way, I think you just nailed it. Like, great job explaining Cycle 2.
That's what I mean. That's one of my
Great
favorite
work.
cycles of the year. I love
Yeah.
the bitchnastic stuff. That stuff is where you start to see all that hard work you put in Cycle 1 put under duress, and whether or not you can still do it is what the name of the game with CrossFit. So
Yes, sir. So let's talk about bitch work here, and I'll get you guys' opinions on if you think it's going to be fun or how productive you think it's going to be given the time of year. So my thought on it, and I think that this was the most successful, Cycle 1 was the most successful bitch work that we've kind of come up with yet. And I think I've had this tough balance of trying to figure out what true rest should be depending on what the goals of each interval piece is. So like long runs, how long do you rest compared to 50-meter sprints? How long do you rest? Like trying to find out what really recharges that system so you can repeat efforts and you don't just hit the wall in 1 or 2 and then survive for 6. And I think we got closer to finding kind of how to train that for the masses this year. Would you guys agree?
I would think the biggest change I saw, over this past year with bitch work and Cycle 1 is that the whole culture of what bitch work should be has been
Yeah.
established, and people know now that like we're not saying if it's 8 intervals to do 8 intervals sort of hard. It's
Right.
like you want to sell out. If the rest is 4 to 1, you know that you're going to long rest in between. You should push as hard as you can each time so you get the best adaptation. Versus before, it was like, maybe it was 2 minutes rest, and for some people that's enough, and some people that's not enough. So
Right.
I think that you hit right the nail on the head.
I think that combined with the proper timing of the rest kind of came together because I saw people look at somebody like your Travis Williams and say, how is he so good on the bike, or Cam or somebody like that, and they say, wait,
Sure.
I wonder if I can do that. And they'd go out and hit their first 2 intervals pretty much all out, and then they would be able to repeat it and until maybe the last 1 or 2 they kind of fell off a little bit. And
But that's
That's
expected.
and it was perfect. It
Then
was
we
perfect,
know
though.
that they're emptying
Exactly.
the tank.
Yes,
at that point.
exactly.
So that's exactly what we want to see. So you hit it right on the head. Now I want to carry that momentum into Cycle 2 and have people put that same effort forward on the monostructural side of things. But now on some of the days, we're going to add in a little bit of simpler gymnastics while under fatigue. So same sort of thing. Let's say you would row 500 meters like you would be rowing them in a bitch work style, really hard, probably that 90 to 95% threshold, repeatable with enough rest. But right after the row, instead of collapsing on the floor, now I'm going to ask you to do a set of 20, 25 push-ups. Now I'm going to ask you to hit 15, 20 chest-to-bar pull-ups. Now I'm going to ask you to climb a rope once, legless. Can you now do the simpler, I guess legless rope climbs aren't that simple. Well, they're simple but difficult, I guess. Can you do the simpler, straightforward body control movements after you've been smashed into a pile of shit if you've done the work correctly?
No.
You ate that shit sandwich.
I mean, that is what separates people in competitions. That is
Yes.
what makes someone stand out at regionals. That is how people continue to do big sets of gymnastics in the open when they're exhausted in the middle of a 15-minute AMRAP. This is what will separate people when it comes time to see who's fitter. So they're simpler now at this time of year because we're just starting to introduce them in. And I think as the year progresses and interval work kind of starts to take over and we transform all the way just to straight up Metcons by the time we hit Cycle 4, and that being the focus, that you'll be able to practice a lot of simpler gymnastics movements into more complex gymnastics movements, into more complex pieces in general. chippers, triplets, things like that that are just, really demanding because of the variance required to complete them and the level of conditioning you need. So that's what we're doing a few of the days. We're still going to have some running for distance, not quite the same as we did in cycle 1. In cycle 1, we had people doing the build up from 20, 25, 30, 35, and so on with the heart rate in control. We still want you guys to focus on your heart rate and start to get a feel for kind of where it's at, depending on what kind of stress you're putting on yourself. But this will be an optional, non-mandatory piece. There's going to be some longer distance intervals, and a couple times during the cycle, actually, we're going to ask the people who struggle with running to immediately, following a Metcon, run out the door and go run 20, 25 minutes and find that pace that you can actually recover and bring yourself back down to that comfortable state that you were able to run through cycle 1 in for 30, 40 minutes, or even a little faster than that. We want you to find that transition. How do you get from something that just beats you into the ground to continuing right on out the door and finding that recovery pace and trying to get comfortable with just the idea of running. We're going to continue doing that.
How fast could you run, Drew, after one of those pieces?
I don't know if you've ever seen the wind blow, but
That's me.
yes. Good question. Thank you.
Just curious.
Yeah. Does that mean fast?
I think so.
Oh.
Because if his Forrest Gump says he runs like the wind blows.
That's true.
Yep.
Okay. Would a breeze be slow?
I have no idea.
All right.
That'd probably be more realistic to how I would move.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So you run like the breeze.
I run like the breeze. I run like the air.
You run like stale air.
All right. And because bitch work is boring and we'll move on from this, you'll have some rowing and some biking intervals as well. And we're going to have days where we actually have multiple machines used in the same piece. And
Those days are the best.
that's bitch work in a nutshell. Interval work, there's nothing really in depth to explain here. You'll either do a round as hard as you can, take a nice long rest, do the round over as hard as you can, take a rest. You might find short AMRAPs, 2, 3, 4 minutes. You go as hard as you can through an AMRAP, take a rest, repeat a couple times. You might find EMOMs. It's traditional interval work. If you've been following the blog, it's not changing. We're just starting to build, giving you the ability to put that intensity into some of the pieces that otherwise you may start to game from the beginning. We don't want to see that. So we'll see how that goes there. And then, of course, you'll have your classic Misfit style Metcons, and those will keep coming. That's all I got, really. The rest they'll discover pretty damn soon.
One thing that I want to bring up before we move on to the strength is if you guys have maybe different goals than regionals, if you feel like cycle 1 is leaving you behind a little bit, cycle 2 will be the first time that pro and complete members on the website have access to extra credit work that would take place of something else on the blog. So an example would be more bitch work without the gymnastics built into it. An example would be the volume squat cycle. Maybe you missed it. Maybe you were hurt. Again, maybe your season's starting a little bit late. So keep your eyes out if you're a pro or a complete member in the articles section once the cycle starts for just some standard PDFs that you guys can open up. There'll be a quick suggestion at the top as to how to fit this into the cycle. You guys already know how we feel about intensity. Adding this on top of the cycle does not make sense. This cycle, like every other cycle, is written for people with regionals aspirations, both in volume and in skill level. So please take that seriously. There's no point in adding stuff if it's not going to help you. So pretty cool thing to add to the website for us. We've always wanted to do this, but wanted to make sure that we did it in the right way. And now that we have a way to do it through the new website, it's exciting. So, strength work, strength and Olympic lifting. In cycle 2 has a lot of pulling from the floor. A lot of pulling from the floor because the true strength work that is tested in CrossFit is almost always the clean and jerk, the snatch, the shoulder to overhead. That's about it. Right?
They'll never get over those movements.
No.
There's just too much tested at once in them, so they'll never move past them.
Absolutely. They don't care so much about your speed. They don't care so much about your strength. They care about both.
Right.
at the same time. We will be shooting a video that is free for everybody with a plea to get into a lovely starting position and then drive through your legs like a squat, just like the ridiculous amount of squats you just did in cycle 1 through the first pull. We will show you guys what we mean. We'll be very blatant and obvious in the video to get our point across. If you guys really paid attention to your squat mechanics and you guys really built up the midline with the deadlift and the accessory work, you can completely change your Olympic lifting by driving through your feet, getting into a nice start position, setting yourself up to succeed in those low hang positions and power positions, which you just worked on. So the one thing that is quite a bit different this year is instead of deadlifting, and there will be deadlifting in Metcons,
Oh yeah.
in intervals,
Oh yeah.
as strength work, you will be pulling a heavy power clean session straight into a heavy clean pull session, straight into a heavy clean deadlift session. And the idea behind this is a true understanding of what I just talked about in terms of driving through your legs, getting yourself into really good positions. So nothing too crazy. The clean pulls, that'll be part of that video for anybody that hasn't done them. There are a few different variations of the clean pull, so you guys will know which one we're talking about. And then the other stuff, to be honest, is just snatch, clean, back and forth. You have days where there's triples. You have days where there's singles. We separate out the split jerk to make sure that you guys are working on technique. We keep the weight a little bit more manageable than you would find in a standard Olympic lifting program because it's one of the movements you guys do the least, and we need to make sure that you're doing it right. So that's why the percentage, you got triples at 70 instead of triples at 80, things of that nature. Still squatting a bunch. Still only cycle 2. So you guys will be working through. There's a little bit of a change to that in this cycle as well from last year. You still have a day of speed work, but on the day where you guys would have normally just done heavy singles in the past, you guys are going to build up to a single and then drop back down to triples. We talked about it as a group, and we feel like cycle 2 should be more geared towards a 3-rep max than a 1-rep max.
Yep.
So we got your legs back under you in cycle 1. We gave you guys a lot of reps, and maybe that improved your 1-rep max, or maybe it improved your 5. The whole idea again was really that time under tension and getting stronger in your entire body. Now we want triples. We want to see how heavy you guys can go with a 3-rep max. You'll find that in test week, and then you'll find it again in retest week. Cycle 3, we move on to the 5-rep, and we continue on to make sure that it fits in the sport.
All right, I got to stop you real quick.
Yeah.
The back squat, working up to the heavy single.
Yes.
So we've been battling athletes for the past 2 years. I love the idea. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love priming the CNS with that.
Yeah.
How do you stop an athlete, other than pleading with them, to not try to PR a 1-rep max every single time that you give them the ability to work up to a single? What would you say to somebody who's like trying to sneak that extra rep or 2 in to, I'm feeling good today, I'm going to go for my PR, then I'm going to come down to 3-rep, because it's going to happen a lot.
Yeah. So it's fairly simple physics. It's force equals mass times acceleration. So if you stand up quickly, really drive, really good form with 90%, you're going to get stronger than crumpling up into a ball and standing up with 95%, 97%, 100%.
But they're feeling good today. They had to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I see what they look like, guys.
Yeah.
I know what they look like. They don't look good. They might feel good. They don't look good. So it says on there close to 90%. Now, if you are trying to hold yourself back, maybe you don't put your belt on yet. If you were trying to hold yourself back, maybe just go to 90% and stop. That would be a good idea. But what's funny about this is a very psychological game we're playing with the athletes, because in the past when we said 4x1 at 90, they couldn't do it.
Yep.
When we tell them stop at 90, they can't stop at 90.
Right.
It's pretty incredible that when it's in your head that you have to lift 90, that you can't, and then when you're not allowed to lift more, you lift more.
Yep.
Stay around 90. There's nothing wrong with rounding up a little bit. There's nothing wrong with adding 5 pounds a week.
Yep.
But it should look good.
It's basically warming you up so that you can be fast with a lighter percentage.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, I mean, if people can just accept that for what it is, then they'll be successful. The people that try to manipulate the simple program will not be as successful.
No,
It's just like swinging the bat with a donut on it, right? You're just trying to get yourself ready to move faster with a lighter implement, whether that's a barbell or a bat. Same idea.
Boom. Look at you talking about baseball over here.
so sports science proved that
Doesn't
if you
work.
swing with a donut, that your bat speed lowers after.
Don't they
Oh,
say
shit.
swinging with a wiffle ball bat is the best way to do it because it weighs nothing? 'Cause I've heard that too. Going with a light baseball
I don't
bat.
know.
I've heard that. I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah, because actually, when you think about it, a donut wouldn't prime your CNS. It just would take more energy, right? It would be not
Yeah.
demanding at all in your CNS.
No.
So that wouldn't increase your speed.
Nope.
It's true.
Yeah,
You don't think about
your
stuff like
motor neurons basically grab small muscle, small, bigger, until you can lift it. So there's no when you're swinging a bat, it's not
Right.
it's not like come on guys, we can do it. That's not a thing.
Are we going to have bat swinging with donuts and accessory work?
Yes.
Okay,
Some
cool.
Maces.
If anybody wants to do
You're
that,
gonna
Actually,
swallow with a donut.
That shit looks badass.
Maces?
The on it like maces and bats and stuff like that. It looks like it'd burn the shit out of your shoulders. I've never used
You've
one.
seen them guys
they
doing
have
that?
like
crazy.
really high level athletes
What's
in, and they
at a
post
rave?
videos of them just smashing them with those things.
Oh, I bet it's awful.
If you do it wrong,
I'm gonna get one and play with it. I don't want to hit myself though in the head. I might do that. I'm not gonna get one. Change my mind.
strict press is now push press.
Boom.
End of discussion. No, we're taking strict press and then push press, and then it'll be push jerk. We're moving through, making sure you guys have a stable shoulder, make sure you understand the dip drive. Next, it'll be pushing under the bar, but for now, we're still going with a pretty active push. And again, if you feel a little left behind, there will be a template for the pro and complete members to continue some strict press, bench press, that kind of thing. Already talked about the speed work with the back squat. There's actually a company out now, and I don't know if they've released their product yet. Has Form Lifting released their? They came to visit us at Code 3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh, that's right.
And it's an OSO style collar that goes onto your barbell, and it relays your speed of your lift to your cell phone. I don't know what the price point is yet, but the implications for that, just in terms of you proving to yourself that you are lifting fast enough, are pretty cool. So
Yeah.
if you like to geek out on that kind of thing, I'm almost positive it's Form Lifting. I probably should have looked before the podcast. I think that's the name of the company.
Sounds right.
Look those guys up.
I mean, we're trying to give them a free plug. So
We're trying,
I mean,
yeah. It just popped into my head because a lot of people don't know what it looks like, don't know what it feels like. We've posted videos before, but then you still see those videos of people just barely, down up.
Yep.
And man, at 60%, that's not going to do a whole lot for you. So you really have to try to be as fast as you can. And fast does not mean how long your set takes.
I was
I
gonna
like
say
that
you got to
too.
be
Right,
careful
I
with
like
that.
that. I like
You
that
squat
drop and
fast,
just
it's
yeah.
boom, 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 boom.
Exactly. So still want that stretch reflex, nice slow drop, then stand up fast. There is non-mandatory work that alternates between pause front squats and pause overhead squats. I'm still the stickler for back squat, back squat, back squat, back squat, and your front squat will go up. But positioning the actual drill of those movements, if you don't understand them, if you don't understand how to both open your shoulders up and open your hips up, you're not going to PR even if you get stronger. So we're going to throw the pause in there. If you're doing it wrong, it's really hard to stand up with a pause squat. So we're not asking for really heavy weights, anything like that. We're asking you guys to work on positions with a little bit of weight on there, see how you control the bar, learn something about the movement. When you have to stop, you really kind of learn how the movement works. So those are alternating. I assume a pretty decent amount of people are going to add those in. Just make sure your focus is on positioning and not weight.
Yeah, and even though we would ask people to pick one or two, like someone like me who would have to catch a clean in not the greatest position, I might add pause front squats in with super lightweight, or maybe if I'm warming up my clean, because I don't just jump into 80% cleans, maybe when I have my clean warm up as I'm building up, I just pause in the bottom or do an extra front squat after my clean and pause and add that in. So they are timed pretty well with other parts of the day. So you don't have to take it super serious like its own piece some of the times if you're not choosing that as your extra. If it is your extra, then there's a whole lot more focus going on it. But the idea behind it can be added to a warm-up if it's not your extra piece.
Absolutely. And it's really that you're starting to blur the lines between whether it's a skill session or a strength session.
Right.
If you feel like it's too far in the strength session side, it's probably not for you. So
Sounds terrible to me. My midline would not like the pausing. All right.
What's left?
Accessories. That's it.
Accessories.
Probably the most fun accessories that I've seen in a while, too.
Yeah.
We got aggressive with them last cycle because it was necessary. But I think these are a little more fun. And,
I like to see the sleds coming back. Big fan of that.
What? You just
Big,
leaked the big
big,
secret.
Big fan of that.
Sleds. Wow.
Yeah.
We don't use sleds. It's a lie.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Go
guys
ahead.
have 2 days a week of sleds.
Mhm.
One of them is geared towards. We gave you guys hopefully some slow twitch fibers when you were jogging around at 4.5 hour per mile pace. Now we are going to add resistance to that. So we're going to ask you guys to walk around with you're forward facing. You've got a belt on. You've got the straps attached to your belt. We're going to ask you guys to walk around steady state for anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. Is 30 the
that
peak?
what Yep, I think it is. I think it's going to be.
Evil person, you.
That's gonna be crazy.
Or is it 20?
20.
20. So you guys, the peak is 20, but that's literally like, I remember
Walking.
when I had Cody doing this for a long time, he would like run down the road
Wow.
and then have to like
With, like,
lay
4
down in a
reds
ditch.
on
And he
his
goes,
sled.
I know you wrote walking, but did you really mean that? And I said, yes, I
Put all the
absolutely meant
PlayStation
that.
on the bar.
This is one of the number one things that Louis Simmons from Westside Barbell does to his athletes that have the Bambi legs, don't have the connective tissue.
Yep.
They got the big, fat, big muscles, the quads, the hamstrings, all that, and then knees cave in, midline goes, all that stuff. So the steady state stuff is boring. It's weird for our sport. It's weird to feel that muscle fatigue as a CrossFitter, but it works really well.
I like it as like, I don't want to call it prehab, but like when I have a day where I'm pulling a lot or I'm super taxed or I need to wake my glutes up before I have a day where I need to use them, I just like walking around with the sled and feeling the activation that it gives you. So it can be recovery or it can be activation because of what it does.
He walks for 30 minutes
no
before he
thanks.
squats every time.
Jeez. I don't know if I could do that,
He has not cycled off steroids in
Wow.
like 30 years.
but I haven't cycled on steroids in 30 years, so maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, maybe. And then the other stuff, we just really want to make sure that that people who struggle with either odd objects or odd movements, their strength is applicable to the Olympic lifts, but they struggle maybe in the back squat, they struggle maybe in the strict press. We're trying to put some stuff in there for you guys where it's just moving heavy objects, time under tension, comfortable with being uncomfortable. We are doing more lunges in cycle 2. Seth thought up a fun little twist for the lunges. I'm not going to give that away.
What?
You'll really like it. It'll be super enjoyable. But
air quotes up for
we have
fun.
moved to the front rack to try to move it along and something you guys would see in the sport a little bit more. And last but not least, in the accessory work, you guys have odd objects, D-ball, yoke, farmer's carries. I shouldn't even say odd objects, more strongman kind of stuff, but just time under tension. It's pretty simple, right? I mean, if you need to work on Metcons, do the Metcon.
Yep.
If you need to throw a D-ball over your shoulder as many times as you can in a minute, then do that.
Definitely.
Those are two pretty different things, and you guys will kind of get the idea once you see it.
Travis could use some D-ball work. Remember how shitty he did at the games with that thing?
I do. I do.
Travis.
It's funny. They take Travis's favorite things and make them his least favorite things.
It's true.
Because 2 years ago, he was screaming at everyone in the warm-up area that was going to whoop their ass with the pig, and then he couldn't flip it.
Oh, that's
and
right.
then this year,
So
although
easy.
he knew he didn't like D-balls this year, but he loves stones.
He likes stones because he can get his hands around them. The D-balls go flat, and you can't get your hand around it.
And he had a D-ball delivered within days of the end of the
say, you must
CrossFit
have one
Games.
now.
So
And
shocked.
he's been hurling that thing around, so that won't happen again. And just with the accessory stuff, especially the yoke, D-ball, all that, it's a little bit more mindless. It's a little bit more fun with a group of friends. So if you guys add that as your last piece of the day, get a bunch of friends, have a little bit of fun with it. It should be a little bit more enjoyable than the interval that day.
What?
No
No.
way.
My interval is beautiful on every day.
And that wraps up what Cycle 2 is going to look like on the standard blog. Mr. Masters Man over here, Gabe Garcia.
Mr.
Gabe,
Masters Man.
Gabe Garcia is actually going to be in the 35-year-old division next year.
Very soon. Yeah,
Is that true?
that's true.
I think at 35 we throw you out of the gang.
Really?
See you,
Yeah.
bitch.
See you later. Too old.
GabeFitMasters.biz.
Yeah, got it.
Gabe, tell us what the differences are going to be for the Masters in Cycle 2.
So we're kind of gonna build on some of the things that we did in Cycle 1. Most of the stuff was pretty similar. We did a lot of stuff on range of motion, building range of motion stability and major joints as well, to lead into some skill work for Cycle 2. And mostly you'll see the differences show up in things like the interval slash Gymnastics. I'm going to give options for some people to do some of that on a different level, but also I'm going to have another just strictly gymnastics option for people to work on. Basically, if something like a muscle up or a handstand push up, some of the higher level skill needs just focus without working on that under fatigue. It's going to allow people to get a jump start on that. And then probably the other main difference is going to be in accessory work. We're going to move from the building better range of motion in hips and shoulders to developing that into consistent and quality mechanics. So you're going to see things like goblet squats for a bunch of reps, really helping people brace, sit back, and over again execute a proper squat. You're going to see some interval stuff on wall balls to kind of help this as well. So one of the things that I noticed, looking at the games and looking at some of the higher level tests, the Masters qualifiers, things like that, I saw people destroy the chipper at the games, and then in the middle of the chipper was a set of 80 wall balls. And it's like, that doesn't seem like much. And I saw people struggle with that.
Fall
Those
apart.
wall
Yeah.
balls destroyed teens and masters.
It
alike.
destroyed people.
It
And
looked like they were
ripped
trying to
them
get
apart.
backspin on it.
And I was curious as to why, and I went back and did that workout. And I mean, it's people that it wasn't because they're not strong or not fit, obviously, because people were crushing the deadlift bar going through that. And then you look at how they're doing the wall balls; they're sitting underneath the target, their hips are coming forward, and so I just a lot of it is going to be aimed at improving your ability under fatigue to actually sit back and have proper squat mechanics. Similar with going overhead
great.
is going to be some pressing and things like that. So those are probably going to be the biggest differences.
Can the Masters handle 8 lifts in 5 days, 5 of them being the Olympic lifts?
No. So
I shouldn't say can they. Is it a proper prescription
Yeah, that's
for
a bit-
5 weeks?
That's a better.
I'm talking shit.
Right.
I'm talking shit over here, and I'm like not fit. I'm like, it's just
I
just running my mouth.
I don't
Shit,
even
I'm not
snatch
fit.
anymore because I'm too afraid.
No, so they're also going to back squat twice a week. They're going to do they're going to have clean and jerk and snatch. They're going to have the Olympic lifting in there. It's definitely not going to be at the volume, so it's going to be probably, I would say, more like 5 to 6 of those pieces per week.
Okay.
And they're also going to have optional. So on some days it's going to be the strength or Oli will be optional over something like an accessory piece. So
And a guy's got to take into consideration maybe he can handle the volume, but maybe that prescription's not proper for him because of like positioning or something like that.
Right.
Right.
His joints.
right.
Yeah.
And so just in a lot of our cycle consultations, the coolest part of that is that we get feedback from the people that are doing this program. And I've heard a lot from our the members following our master's programming that they initially had some reservations because they did notice that the volume was a little bit different, a little lower, and they bought in and they all feel great now and strong now and like they're getting into better positions. So there's no reason to throw that out the window now. Like we got to keep building on that and continue to find the balance, I guess.
No bullshit. Like my 4 masters that I had consultations with in the last 2 days, they've all said, "Wow, never felt better like in my CrossFit career than I feel now. I'm consistent with my lifts, and my squat finally feels like it's coming together. I can't wait for cycle 2. So what you did in the first one was you totally prepared them for what will be maybe a slight jump in volume, because we're talking about speed again, not so much the slow lifts. So you can afford to do that. But everyone I talk to couldn't be more excited about this. So
I think some of the other stuff too, like we had the conversation about the post Metcon long run. It's funny because the feedback I got with the longer runs and longer row stuff, with a lot of the masters is like they almost kind of had that already. They kind of knew how to pace themselves
because of their background.
Just because of their background, and a lot of them maybe are endurance athletes, and so they kind of had that. I thought of doing a similar thing, but actually more so leading into recovery. So for me, and it is a good thing that I am approaching that 35, that older age group, because I definitely am starting to feel some of that.
Pepperidge Farm guy.
So one of the things on
Monopoly Man.
5-year plan.
is on the third day. So if you hit, day 1, day 2, day 3, that third day can really start to get to you. So that long piece after a Metcon is going to lead straight into recovery. It's going to have a focus on recovery, on bringing your heart rate down, on just kind of getting back to normal, and lead right into recovery. And I think that's going to go a long way for them.
So what you're saying is after Metcon, you shouldn't just drop to the ground with your legs pulled full of blood and just sit there and think you're going to be fine the next day?
So
is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly.
Oh.
And so this piece is going to be put there to convince them of that, because I could tell them to do that and they're not going to believe me. But if I make them do it one time and they realize, then they may do it after more pieces. I've been
doing it wrong for so many years. Jeez, no wonder I'm not fit. Bummer. Yeah.
Did we do it?
I feel like we did it. I mean, pretty unprepared. We basically did it live, and I don't want to talk about Cycle 2 anymore. We're going to have question and answer live on Facebook, and
soon.
Yeah, very soon. One last thing I'll throw out there we didn't bring up. A few of us will be at the Cascade Classic in... Shit, will this even go live before I leave for that?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
They'll see you a few days after this
Cool.
goes live.
So we'll be there. Some of us will be there. I'm actually going to be doing a question and answer live forum there with James Fitzgerald from OPEX and Rudy Nielsen from Outlaw. So 3 of us will be discussing what we
Is
feel.
he going to be wearing a jean jacket?
I don't know.
Better bring yours.
I don't know. I need to buy one.
We can find one at Goodwill, I bet.
I'm going to wear a
nice
suit.
brass
I think.
buttons.
I'm going to wear a tuxedo.
Yes.
There you
Just
go.
tuxedo. Yeah.
Confuse everyone.
Get
Yes.
an orange one.
Dumb and
blue.
Dumber.
Walk around like C-3PO. This guy's fucking
Wow.
weird.
That guy's a fucking lunatic.
So apparently I don't know what I'll be wearing. They're going to vote on it, and then I'll wear that.
Yes, we should do that.
So on that Sunday at the Cascade, we'll do a live question and answer session about whatever the hell you guys want, I guess. I don't even know. It's going to be fun. We'll have a booth there. We'll be hanging out. Not all. A bunch of our athletes will be there. More than happy to chat with you, hanging out, and it's going to be a good time. So if you're headed to the Cascade Classic, or we're thinking about going to being a spectator and you want to chat, I'll be there all weekend. So
We didn't even talk about the crew at Crew at Clue either.
people, I don't even think anyone has any idea what we're in for
It's
at
gonna be
Clue.
crazy.
It's going to be insane, the amount of shit going on at Clue.
Almost every Misfit ever
Yeah, pretty much.
is going to be at Clue.
Yeah, I mean, Team Series, the second week of Team Series is during Clue, so not only will the team of Jordan, Travis, Alexis, and Carrie Pierce be there doing their second week, but I think Travis has basically invited everyone in the sun, and I don't even know if he asked Catherine, but sorry, Catherine.
I think they're going to have to bring in
Travis
bleachers
invited
to watch.
Oh, my God.
This is actually a test for Catherine to see if she watches all the way through
Wow.
the podcast.
Oh,
Catherine,
she
get
does.
bleachers.
This is like
and
She
Easter
does.
eggs, so you
She
guys are getting
does.
this awesome
Hire
information at the end.
vendors. I
If
want
you quit
Dr. Pepper
before,
and
shame on
popcorn.
you.
It's going to be epic, the amount of stuff we have planned for Clue. And I will say this. This will be our third Camp 2.0, so we've ironed out all the issues from the first 2 times we've gone through it.
Well,
and-
Sherp's back at camp.
Sorry, guys.
Oh,
We're
well.
gonna get back to ruin it.
Okay, well,
JK, LOL.
mine is
I can't wait to
Sherm.
hear us talk about pizza.
No, I mean, I think that Camp 2.0 has been a step up from the first camp. So if you've done the first one and you want to check out more, we have a shit ton more information for you at the second one. And I think it's been going smoother than ever, and it's more fun. And I think you guys would enjoy it. So
Yep.
sign up.
I talked to a repeat offender or a repeat attender.
Whoa.
Wow.
At the last camp who had done camp 1.0 and 2.0, and he said he liked 2.0 like way better.
Cool.
Just topics were different.
Yeah, we sucked back then. That's what he
Damn.
said.
I like 2.0.
I think it's
good.
fun.
Yeah.
It's good. Well, I'm getting the giggles. It's past my
I'm
bedtime.
starving.
Yeah, once Sherb and I start laughing, it's probably
What'd
not
I
going
do?
to stop. So
Nothing.
if you would like to support us, you can go to misfitgear.com, buy some gear. Misfit Athletics on Instagram. Go to our YouTube page, click subscribe. Go to Facebook, click like. Do all that fun stuff.
Tweet at us.
Tweet at us. See you guys next time.
All right. See you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.